Greetings, my friends. Please consider supporting me in my war to save pop culture by subscribing to my channel and possibly even becoming a channel member for exclusive videos, access to Doomcock emojis, and more. And if you like this video in particular, please consider using the new Super Thanks feature and putting a tip in the tip jar located next to the like buttons down at the bottom of the video. Thank you for watching, and now, on to the video. My friends, today I am broadcasting from the reactor core in my hidden base at the center of the Earth with a stunning allegation that could answer one of the biggest puzzles in all of fandom. Why do Disney movies and TV shows suck so badly these days? Now, many of you will say, well, it's wokeness that makes Disney suck. Get woke, go broke. And that's absolutely correct. Wokeness is a poison pill shoved up the rectum of every project it touches. But that said, there's an even more fundamental reason why these projects almost always stink. According to a leaker who was recently interviewed by my Hollywood spies, a stunning reason that I never imagined possible. A fundamental element of Disney's production pipeline that almost guarantees that Disney movies and TV shows will be garbage every single time. This is one of the worst stories I've ever heard when it comes to Hollywood, my friends. It explains a hell of a lot, if true. And I may even have some proof from personal experience that could back up this story.
Proof, eh? Very interesting. Though it's hard to imagine a more pernicious impact on Disney projects than wokeness, Doomcock. As Tolkien famously said, evil cannot create, only corrupt. Watching shows like She-Hulk, movies like Thor, Love and Thunder, The Eternals, Book of Boba Fett, the truth of Tolkien's words shines ever more brightly. Disney sucks because of wokeness, and because they keep cannibalizing their own movie catalog to convert classic animated films into cheap trash, kind of in the same way your colon turns steak into poopy. They're turning an entire generation of kids into corporophages. That means shit-eaters for those of you keeping score at home. But that said, how could Disney be doing anything worse than that?
I know it seems hard to believe, gentlemen, but I ask you this. What if there was something so fundamentally wrong about these projects, something so central to the production of films and shows at Disney, at Marvel, at Lucasfilm, that it all but doomed the project before any fan ever laid eyes on it? Aside from wokeness, aside from remakes, this is the third and final strike that ruins Star Wars, ruins the MCU, and all but guarantees that Indiana Jones 5 will be a stink bomb of the worst kind, if this source is correct. At this point, I must state that the information I'm about to share with you is information provided to my Hollywood spies from a source claiming knowledge of the situation. But since I cannot personally verify this information, I am presenting it as unverified rumor, and I ask you to please take it with a grain of salt. So let's get down to what I was told, and folks, watch this to the end because I want to analyze this information and emphasize why this is so bad for the future of cinema. My Hollywood spies had a walk-in who came to them with an interesting story. My spies say they found out enough about this source to give credit to what they claimed, but cautioned that there's still uncertainty just because it was a walk-in and they haven't spent a lot of time with this source. That said, this source provided proof that they would have knowledge of what they're speaking of, and then described a scene that was shot on the set of She-Hulk, where the supervillain from episode 1 hurts She-Hulk's friend, and then She-Hulk fully hulks out and turns into Red She-Hulk, a much more powerful version of She-Hulk that is, of course, even bigger, stronger, and badder than the Hulk himself.
Oh, for fuck's sake, really? We're gonna see that bullshit now? Of course they have to make her stronger than the Hulk, right? Because it's all about girl power, the bestest ever. I'm gonna hate watching that crap.
If you watch it, Harvey. If you watch it.
Well, what do you mean, if? Is this source saying it happens or not?
Well, this is where the story gets really interesting, Harvey. At this point, my spies asked the source, So they're going to sex swap male Red Hulk for she-Red Hulk? And this source replied, it's a possibility if that scene didn't hit the cutting room floor. That scene was shot many different ways. My spies then told me, we dug in for details and this source gave us something that lines up with something we've been told before. The source said, look, I can't say for 100% what they will put in. My spies replied, okay, can you give us anything that would help clear this up? The source replied, yeah, I can, but please be careful how you use this. Okay, you guys have been watching these Disney Plus shows, right? My spies replied, unfortunately, yes. The source then said, do you have any idea on how much they are spending per show? Have you noticed how cheap they look? I mean, She-Hulk looks horrible. My spies confirmed they had indeed noticed how substandard these shows often look, and the source replied, have you not wondered why and where all the money's going? I can tell you exactly why. It's because depending on the show, they reshoot major scenes up to 3 times different ways, and sometimes it's even more. My spies confirmed they had heard things along these lines before, and the source continued, well, I'm not sure what all you've been told, but I'm telling you this has been done in every show, every episode, and it's all Kevin's master plan. He calls it scrapbooking.
Scrapbooking? More like crapbooking. This sounds familiar, Doomcock. Have you referenced this before?
I have indeed, Skull of Calderon. The idea of scrapbooking explains a strange incident that happened on Pop Culture Breakdown, my live stream show, and it ties into a rumor reported by sources on Indiana Jones 5 claiming that there wasn't a script as such, but a whole bunch of branching scenes and different endings, more like a video game than a movie. I thought that this was a unique situation confined to Kathleen Kennedy and her unholy Frankensteinian patchwork project, but apparently it's much more widespread throughout Disney than that, if this source is correct, and frankly I have personal reasons to believe it is. On Pop Culture Breakdown, my friend and producer claimed to have seen all the episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I believed him. He had details that actually did take place, but there were a number of things that were different than what he saw when the episodes aired. He saw Reva actually die when Vader snapped her neck, and that was the end of her. But that's not what happened. He saw it with his own eyes, and yet it aired differently. My producer could not believe it was so different and apologized, but this goes a long way towards proving that he was entirely correct. He saw one of many versions of the show that were being tested or perhaps leaked to trick me or other YouTubers into providing false information, which I never did. I never did a video about that because something didn't sit right with me about it. And I was correct, but I had no reason why. It was just instinct. Well, it turned out that what my producers saw was just one of many versions of Kenobi that were scripted and shot and edited. Can you imagine the wasted time and expense of this? But even worse, much worse, folks. And this is the main point of this video, of all of this. You cannot tell a great story if you can't even commit to a final script. You cannot craft a compelling story from bits and pieces and fragments filled with branching events general enough to accommodate a whole bunch of different endings. This is not art. This is not storytelling. This is more akin to clockwork. Scrapbooking means piecing together stories from scattered pieces, not caring if it ultimately hangs together in a compelling and exciting narrative. It's a fractured, crazy quilt of scenes that can be inserted to create phony leaks, mislead reviewers. Scenes can be pulled if they're deemed too controversial or they don't test well. It turns what should be a compelling story told with focus and passion into a fucking cut and paste marketing exercise. Soulless and bereft of coherence. This source told us, in the case of She-Hulk, scrapbooking is, quote, why some stuff doesn't seem like it belongs. They may add a scene in randomly just because they think it's funny, unquote.
Well, they need humor consultants, dude. The funny ain't funny. It's kind of like in Princess Bride, if the character kept saying, "That's funny," and the dude replies, "You keep saying that word. I do not think it means what you think it means."
If this rumor is true, scrapbooking is one final fatal blow to cinematic art. It completely derails narrative drive and integrity, all to cover the studio's ass in one way or another. This is why so many Disney movies and shows stink, my friends, if this rumor is true. These aren't scripts anymore. They're ragged quilts made out of scraps. And if one of these quilts ever manages to not suck, it's just by accident, if this source is correct. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry. Ha 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 ha.